the wind. Testing. So I'm speaking now. I'm speaking and smite me, oh powerful wind. Self-love is probably one of the most important practices that we can bring into our daily relationship with ourselves. And yet it is one of those phrases and one of those concepts that often doesn't really make sense and sometimes feels, like a good idea, but what does it actually mean? Hello and welcome. It's Willow McIntosh here, founder of Illuminance and creator of the High Sensory Method. And I am super excited to dive into this topic with you, which I'm hoping to address just before this rain cloud comes and means I'm going to have to very quickly move. Self-love is one of those parts of life that is actually fundamental to our happiness. It's all about the relationship that we're having with ourselves, the level of acceptance and acknowledgement and containment that we're really putting around ourselves. And it's not something that we're taught. We don't get taught this in school, the importance of self-love. We tend to be in this, well, if I speak from my experience, tend to be in this driving expectation that there's got to be achievement consistently, and if my current needs are not in alignment with what I'm trying to achieve, then there's the tendency to want to then just beat oneself, to push oneself harder, to make more money, to be more successful, to have better relationships. And the trouble is what that's doing is it's actually separating ourselves from the very resource that we need that makes all of those parts of life much easier. So self-love, in my experience, it's a state. It is it's an experience at an energetic level. In other words, it is the way in which we are actually embracing and experiencing ourselves, almost from a witness perspective. It doesn't mean to say, and what's important actually is that I don't put labels around this or talk too much into my own experience at the expense of yours, because what's really important here, my invitation, is to feel into what this actually means to you. What does self-love really mean to you? And in my experience of this, and my invitation again for you to consider, is that we have an ability to be able to oversee ourselves. We have an ability to be able to observe ourselves and contain ourselves, have patience for ourselves, and practice the art of embracing ourselves in a way that contains us in love. We have the ability to be able to do that. We are not our minds. We are a greater experience of that. And as many of you know, through the practice of meditation, we're able to be witness to ourselves. There is a higher awareness that allows that observation where we can observe our minds. And that's the container that we can initiate in order to be able to hold that space around us, in order to have that patience and have that self-observation from an intention of care and acceptance and self-love. Self-love is incredibly empowering. It is allowing ourselves to access a deeper resource within us that has enormous capacity. If we are at odds with ourselves and we are not in acceptance of whatever it may be, if there's a part of ourselves that we're struggling to accept, or, we've been trained that we have to be strict with ourselves in order to succeed. That was very much my programming. The trouble is when we're doing that, is we're actually disconnecting from the part of ourselves that we really need to achieve what we're trying to achieve. And that's what I mean by self-love being empowering. It's actually giving us this access to this greater resource within us that is just part of the natural state of who we are. So, as with all of these videos, again, it's an invitation to grow your awareness around this. And I'm not saying that because, self-love seems to be this great thing that we should all be doing. Self-love has made a massive difference in my life and in all the high sensory people that I've been blessed to work with over the years. Self-love is a shift in the relationship with ourselves that allows us to truly meet and align with the truth of who we are. It is an embrace of our real identity. And the truth of who we are and the identity of who we are is a very powerful part of us that comes from nature. It is our own innate nature. And when we're at odds with that, when we're trying to make that into something that it's not, then it comes at a great cost. And it can lead us down paths we're not supposed to be on. It can lead us into relationships we're not supposed to be in. And most importantly, it can lead us into a relationship with ourselves that isn't real, that is causing us more problems than the benefits we think it's having. So my invitation again is to build this container of acceptance around you, is an invitation especially for us as HSPs to have that element of self-care, to be aware of our needs, to check in with ourselves on a moment-to-moment basis and ask ourselves, how am I feeling right now? What are my needs right now? What is actually real for me in this moment? And am I caring for that? And am I really being a champion for that truth of myself? And then we can build this higher awareness more and more. We can build that container of observation, that container of care, where we can parent ourselves more. And by creating that container, what we will find is that resource, that powerful resource within us, will fill that container more. And then we can be much more present in the areas of life that matter most to us. And we can truly engage the resource of who we really are and bring ourselves into service for ourselves in the areas of life that matter most. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.